As we travel the world looking for the best place to live, we have decided to scratch Tulum off the list. Tulum is a beach town located on the east coast of Mexico. It's well known as a tourist destination for its clear turquoise waters, white sand, and ancient Mayan ruins right on the beach. But it also has numerous problems which made us decide it's not for us. There are also some things we loved about our time in Tulum. If you only want to see the good things, skip to the end of this video. We are never coming back to Tulum. In fact, it made us feel sad. So on to the top 10 reasons why we're never returning to Tulum. Number 1, profit over people. Tulum is a town where profit is the driving force with little thought for the well-being of the residents. The master plan for the development of Tulum is lacking. Luxury condos seem to be built anywhere without any thought to roads or schools, parks or playgrounds. Tulum basically has 4 areas: the beach area, the town 6 kilometers away, and then there are 2 new luxury subdivisions being built in the middle. The new luxurious Aldea Zama neighborhood is a real mishmash. It has some paved roads and some bumpy dirt roads. It does have some sidewalks in some places, but they are overgrown with weeds and filled with trash. It appears there was no plan as to who would maintain these common areas. In the other new subdivision, La Valletta, the dirt roads are filled with huge craters and rocks and almost require a 4x4. Walking there is a scary adventure. The roads don't appear wide enough to ever add any sidewalks. Both areas are geared to foreigners looking for investment properties. This goes beyond gentrification, as the owners in almost all cases won't even be living there. Right beside the new developments catering to foreigners, with infinity pools and yoga rooms, people live in shacks with no running water and dirt floors. People say by increasing tourism, it creates jobs, but the majority of locals here aren't even being paid living wages. The minimum wage in 2023 in this part of Mexico is 207 pesos, or about $11 a day. Huge profits are being made, but the money isn't going to improve the lives of the majority of the residents. We found prices in Tulum to be similar or even higher than most places in Canada or the US. Can you imagine living on $11 a day? We only see the income inequality in Tulum getting worse, and that will lead to even more problems. Number 2, beach access. All Mexican beaches are supposed to be public and available to all, but the beachfront hotels and condos have taken over the beautiful Tulum beaches. It is almost impossible to access the beach as they have erected huge gates and hired security guards to make sure no one can get through. There are very few accesses open to the public. The beaches are lined with elaborate beach clubs where you have to consume overpriced food or alcohol, often at a minimum purchase limit over $100 US per person, just to get a seat. Also, sometimes you just want to listen to the waves, but the waves are drowned out by the loud thumping music coming from the beach clubs. No wonder we didn't see local families enjoying the beach. In fact, on a Sunday, the locals we saw were the ones trying to sell to the tourists. It broke our hearts to see this little boy and his family spending their Sunday hawking bracelets. In comparison, on a Sunday in Mexico City, the parks were filled with families enjoying their time together. Number 3, getting around. The town of Tulum is about 6 kilometers from the beach, and there's no easy way to get between the town and the beach. A taxi can cost over $100 to go both ways, depending on the time of day. If you want to drive, parking is hard to find, and the roads are filled with potholes. If you live near the main road to the beach, Coba Avenue, you could walk for an hour or bike to get to the beach, but in the summer on a hot or rainy day, that may not be so great. We stayed in a place close to Kukulkan Avenue, a newly completed road to the beach. Unfortunately, this new road was built just for cars with no room for bikes or pedestrians. It was hair-raising to see the locals trying to walk on this road as vehicles sped past. The road that runs along behind the beach is also very narrow and filled with potholes, with little room for walking. Walking along it did not have the laid-back beach town vibe we had imagined. We don't see the traffic in Tulum improving as sidewalks and bike lanes can't be added as condos are built so close to the road. The roads are narrow and the number of tourists visiting keeps going up. They are planning to build a train that will link to Tulum, however, even it is plagued with controversy. We usually love trains, but it appears they didn't do the proper planning and environmental assessment before breaking ground. Number 4, water pollution. Tulum does not have the infrastructure to deal with all the pollution generated by the huge influx of tourists. With upwards of over 2 million visitors, there's no system in place to handle all the wastewater and sewage. According to earthjournalism.net, this lack of a drainage network has forced businesses and homes here to create their own sewage systems. Many flow directly into the underground aquifer that provides the water for drinking and home use. We read that in Tulum, only 15% of the buildings are connected to the sewage system. It's upsetting to know that raw sewage eventually flows directly to the sea where it kills the coral. The reef has lost 80% of its coral due to human contamination. With all the money made from the new construction of condos and the tourist dollars being spent in Tulum, there should be a firm plan to clean up and control the sewage output. Even some of the cenotes here are polluted. Cenotes are sinkholes with freshwater pools that were considered sacred by the Mayans. They have become popular swimming spots for tourists. Business Insider Mexico reported that over 80% of the cenotes are contaminated. The Cancun Sun reported that recently 3 Tulum cenotes were contaminated with high levels of contaminants including E. coli. They were ordered to be shut down so they could be decontaminated, but they remained open. Number 5, trash. Everywhere you look in Tulum there is trash. It overflows the dumpsters, lines the streets, and is piled up near homes. Even the brand new condos in the new fancy neighborhoods in Tulum were surrounded by garbage. The Aldea Zama neighborhood looked nothing like the sale brochures. It is populated with half-built condos, construction waste, empty plastic bottles, and trash everywhere. The new neighborhoods need to come up with a system to ensure they are maintained and clean. It was such a contrast to Mexico City, where they took pride in keeping their city clean. Number 6, land ownership. Ownership of some of the properties in Tulum beachfront areas is unclear. As prices have increased tenfold, disputes have escalated. When we visited in February 2023, 3 hotels were served with eviction orders due to a dispute over who owned the land. One of the 3 hotels managed to come to an agreement, but the other 2 hotels were evicted, guests, furniture, and all. Over the years, there have been many other evictions and land resold to the highest bidder. Owners have been threatened to make payments to people who may or may not own the land. To say it is a mess is an understatement. We certainly won't be buying property here. Number 7, seaweed. Seaweed, known as Sargassum, is a persistent problem for beachgoers on the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. Usually it covers beaches from March to October. However, when we visited Tulum in early February 2023, it was already covering the beaches. Researchers say the increased levels of Sargassum are due to increased water temperatures. Hotels on the beach shovel the seaweed into wheelbarrows and put into large piles before using front-end loaders to finish the job. As Sargassum decomposes, it gives off a substance called hydrogen sulfide. Hydrogen sulfide has a very unpleasant odor like rotten eggs. Although the seaweed is harmless, tiny sea creatures that live in Sargassum can cause skin rashes. Hydrogen sulfide can also irritate your eyes, nose, and throat. It doesn't make for a great beach vacation when the beach smells and is unswimmable. Number 8, drugs and violence. With tourists flocking to Tulum to party, drug use has skyrocketed in the area. With that comes the drug dealers. The Courier-Journal reported that the cartels have moved into the area and that people were constantly being detained by the police on drug dealing charges. And when rival cartels battle it out, innocent tourists get caught in the line of fire. We saw the National Guard patrolling everywhere we went in Tulum, toting ominous-looking guns. The thought of potentially getting caught in a crossfire and the constant presence of heavily armed guards made us feel unnerved. Before I show you the final reasons why we'll never live in Tulum and some of the reasons we enjoyed our time there, please do me a favor and hit subscribe. It really helped me to bring you videos about more cities. Number 9, expensive. We found that Tulum is very expensive, from rent to food to things to do. Everything costs more than other places in Mexico and often more than in Canada or the US. Hotels in the beach area will cost between $500 to $1,000 US per night. Food was also expensive, especially along the beachfront. Burgers sell for around $30 US and smoothie bowls for $15. This is more than double the prices we found in nearby Playa del Carmen. Even taking a taxi was more than triple the cost in other Mexican cities we have visited. Now, I know we are in a town that caters to tourists and shouldn't be shocked at the high prices, but Mexico has many other beachfront locations that are more reasonably priced. Number 10, Instagrammers. I must admit I enjoy Instagram. However, in Tulum, more than anywhere we have ever been, many people were spending hours taking inauthentic videos and photos just to post on the gram. For example, there was a huge lineup of people paying a fee and then waiting in a long line just to have their photo taken inside this famous sculpture. You can even find numerous Instagram tours where you visit various spots to have your photo taken in front of stunning scenery. When I look at Instagram photos, I expect them to be documenting their fun on vacation. I don't envision the hours they spent in lines and crowds to just get a photo. It took away a bit of the magic of the place. So, as promised, there are some things we loved about Tulum. You can, of course, have a great vacation in Tulum, but it isn't somewhere we see ourselves living. If you want to relax on a lounge chair and listen to the waves with a drink in your hand, Tulum could be a perfect place for you. Tulum does have gorgeous white sand beaches, but not covered with Sargassum. It also has a very active nightlife. The Mayan ruins on the beach are a must-see. Inhabited in 564 AD, the city was important for sea trade, and it was here that they worshipped the great descending god. And there are some great hotels and resorts in Tulum, many with an alternative bent. For example, Holistica, a hotel, healthy restaurant, and yoga retreat, caters to those looking for peace and happiness through wellness. The art walk there is especially enjoyable. Plus, Shellhal Park is a short drive from Tulum and is really a place that shouldn't be missed. We liked how they keep the area as natural as possible, from floating down a lazy river through the mangroves, riding bikes through the jungle, and snorkeling in the bay to see all sorts of fish. It was a perfect day for us. If you do end up deciding to come to Tulum for a beautiful beach vacation, try to support the locals. However, for living, there are many other areas in Mexico that are higher on our list. Next week, we'll show you some other places in Mexico that we preferred. In the meantime, check out these other cities.